Little Joe has a good line through turn 4. But his car goes out of control in turn 6.
On January 19, 1964, during the Motor Trend 500 at Riverside International Raceway in California, a fatal accident occurred involving reigning NASCAR Grand National Series champion Joe Weatherly. The crash took place on lap 48 of the race, as Weatherly was navigating the high-speed, sweeping right-hand turn 6, one of the fastest and most dangerous corners on the Riverside Road course. At the time of the incident, Weatherly's car was traveling at an estimated speed of over 130 miles per hour. As Weatherly entered the corner, his Mercury lost stability. The exact initiating factor was never definitively determined, but contemporary reports suggest a combination of aerodynamic lift, suspension loading, and the rough surface transitions typical of Riverside at the time. The car suddenly yawed sideways and slid toward the outside of the track. With limited runoff area and no modern energy-absorbing barriers, the vehicle struck the retaining wall nearly broadside. Upon impact, the violent deceleration caused Weatherly's body to shift laterally inside the cockpit. Because he was not wearing a shoulder harness and did not have a window net installed, his upper body was thrown toward the driver's side window opening. His head exited the cockpit and struck the concrete retaining wall directly. The impact resulted in catastrophic head injuries, and Joe Weatherly was killed instantly. Emergency crews reached the scene within moments, but there was nothing they could do. Weatherly was pronounced dead at the track. He was 41 years old. The race was stopped, and the atmosphere at Riverside immediately shifted from competition to shock. NASCAR had just lost its reigning champion in the opening weeks of the new season. Weatherly's decision not to use a shoulder harness or window net was not unusual for the era. At the time, many drivers resisted additional restraints out of fear of being trapped in a burning car. Weatherly himself had openly expressed concern about fire, believing that freedom of movement was his best chance of survival. Tragically, that belief cost him his life. His death would later become one of the key reference points in NASCAR's gradual push toward mandatory window nets and improved restraint systems, changes that would not be fully implemented until years later. Joe Weatherly became the first driver in NASCAR history to die in a racing accident after winning the Cup Series championship. For nearly 3 decades, his case remained unique. The only comparable tragedy would come in 1993, when reigning champion Alan Kulwicki lost his life in a plane crash early in the following season. Joseph Herbert Weatherly was born on May 29, 1922, in Norfolk, Virginia. Before he ever climbed into a stock car, Weatherly had already established himself as a dominant force in American motorsports through motorcycle racing. After serving in World War II, he returned home and began competing in American Motorcycle Association events. Between 1946 and 1950, Weatherly won 3 AMA Grand National Championships, including the prestigious Laconia Classic 100-mile road race in 1948. His success earned him a reputation as a fearless, instinctive racer, capable of controlling machines at the limit of adhesion. In 1950, Weatherly transitioned from motorcycles to stock cars, and the results were immediate and overwhelming. In his first season of modified competition, he won the very first race he entered. That year, he claimed victory in 49 of the 83 races he competed in. The following seasons were even more dominant. In 1952, Weatherly won the NASCAR Modified National Championship, again capturing 49 wins. In 1953, he repeated as champion with 52 victories, establishing himself as one of the most prolific winners in the history of modified racing. Weatherly's aggressive style made him nearly unbeatable on short tracks. At the same time, his personality began to draw attention. Unlike many drivers of the era, Weatherly understood the entertainment side of racing. He played pranks on officials, joked with competitors, and deliberately cultivated a reputation as a rebel. Fans loved him as much for his behavior as for his results. This combination earned him the nickname that would follow him for the rest of his career, the Clown Prince of stock car racing. In 1956, Weatherly expanded his NASCAR career by competing in both the Grand National Series and the convertible division. In the convertible series, he thrived, winning 12 races and earning 19 pole positions between 1956 and 1959. One of the most iconic moments of his career came in 1956 at Raleigh, when his engine failed during a race. With fellow driver Ralph Ligori pushing his car from behind, Weatherly stood upright in the cockpit and crossed the finish line in what became known as the Chariot of Fire incident, a pure display of his driving skill under total mechanical failure. Despite his clownish image, Weatherly was intensely competitive when it mattered. His breakthrough in the NASCAR Grand National Series came in 1958, when he scored his first Premier Series victory at the Nashville 200. By 1961, he had emerged as a consistent title contender, winning 9 races and leading the series in victories. That same year, fans voted him NASCAR's most popular driver, confirming that his appeal extended far beyond the results sheet. In 1962, Weatherly joined Bud Moore Engineering, a partnership that would define his legacy. That season, he delivered one of the most statistically impressive championship performances in NASCAR history. In 52 starts, Weatherly recorded 39 top 5 finishes and 45 top 10s, winning 9 races and capturing the Grand National Series championship. He repeated the feat in 1963, winning 3 races and securing back-to-back titles. Remarkably, during his second championship season, Weatherly drove for 9 different teams, often securing rides on a race-by-race basis due to limited resources. By the start of the 1964 season, Weatherly was pursuing a 3rd consecutive championship. In the opening 4 races, he had already recorded 2 top 5 finishes and 3 top 10s, demonstrating that he remained a dominant force despite his unconventional approach and aging equipment. Few doubted that he would once again contend for the title, but that pursuit ended abruptly at Riverside. In the aftermath of Weatherly's death, NASCAR to rethink driver safety regulations. His fatal head injury, combined with later incidents such as Richard Petty's crash at Darlington in 1970, eventually led NASCAR to mandate window nets in 1971. The restraint systems that Weatherly feared would trap him in fire ultimately became standard equipment that saved countless lives in the decades that followed. Joe Weatherly's grave marker reflects the moment that defined the end of his life. It is a sculptural representation of Riverside International Raceway, with a checkered flag marking the exact location of his fatal crash. It stands not only as a memorial to a champion, but as a reminder of an era when speed far outpaced safety. Over his NASCAR career, Weatherly won 25 races and 2 championships. He was NASCAR's most popular driver in 1961, was named one of NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers, and was inducted into the NASCAR and Motorsports Halls of Fame. Joe Weatherly remains one of the most unique figures in American motorsports history. He was a champion on motorcycles and in stock cars, a dominant winner, and a fearless entertainer. His career bridged the line between sport and spectacle, and his death exposed the brutal risks drivers once accepted as normal. More than half a century later, Weatherly is remembered not only for his championships and victories, but for the legacy he left behind, a legacy written in speed, personality, and sacrifice. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.